Hey everybody, welcome back to another D&D Beyond dev update. I'm Joe Starr. I'm the s- content manager over at D&D Beyond. Thank you for joining us. If it's your first time with us and you're like, I don't know what a D&D Beyond is. D&D Beyond is an online digital tool set, a digital companion, if you will, that if you have always been interested in playing Dungeons and Dragons, but it seems a little overwhelming. You know, stacks of books and backpacks full of stuff and dice and paper and bleh. Uh, D&D Beyond is a tool set that makes it super easy to like jump in and play. It does the reference and math stuff for you and walks you through everything you need to do step by step, just to make the game a little more easier, move a little more smoothly, and frees you up so that you can just sort of worry about having more fun with your friends instead of looking up rules. Uh, that's what D&D Beyond is. This is our dev update. This is our weekly check-in where we get in the roadmap of what is currently available, what's coming up with the tool set, any machinations that are in development. And we like to connect you with our actual devs. So today I'll be walking through the roadmap with everybody, and then we are actually bringing up our old friend Pat Backman, one of our senior product managers, to do a little Q&A with y'all. Always super stoked to have Pat on. He always has a little hot dev goss to share with you guys. So stoked to have him on. All that said, let me jump you right into the roadmap. Um, Available right now. Critical Role: Call of the Netherdeep is available for pre-order. That is the next book set in Matt Mercer's beautiful, beautiful world. So again, if you are interested in the deepness of Matt Mercer's Nethers, this is the book for you. That is releasing in 2022. Pre-orders are available now. Um, Speaking of pre-orders, Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos also available for pre-order on the D&D Beyond marketplace. That is going to, of course, come with a lot of cool pre-order goodies that we will be rolling out here on the dev update in the next couple of weeks. Third book, Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, is available right now. It's a dope book, honestly. Pick it up if you like the dragons part of Dungeons and Dragons. This is absolutely the book for you. I like it a lot, honestly. There's just some really cool stuff in the bestiary. The dragon layer stuff is really really sweet. So yeah, absolutely pick this one up. Um, Not on the roadmap, but I don't know why I keep thinking about it. And this is also like my half hour of your day where I just get to spew stream of consciousness. Um, why buy a book digitally on D&D Beyond? Why pre-order Critical Role: Call of the Netherdeep from us? Why pre-order Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos from us? And this is I'm not trying to be salesman-y, but this is a question I feel like we see a lot. And maybe we don't do so good a job of addressing it as we should. So I'm going to try to address it now. Why the question that we usually get asked is, why should I buy a digital PDF from you guys when I already paid for a physical book? The answer to me, I don't know if our marketing team necessarily agrees with me, or will send me angry slacks after talking through this. But the answer to me is that we don't make PDFs. We unlock a book and all of its content to be completely interactive within our digital tool set, within our digital companion, so that you can physically use the book and actively play with it in D&D Beyond. So you know, PDFs of books are great. I've got my entire Palladium library digitized on PDF, right? So if I want to open up Rifts Atlantis, I can do it anytime, and my family is not annoyed that most of our living space is taken up by physical Rifts books. So you know, not knocking the ability to buy PDFs, but I think in the case of D&D Beyond, what makes us special, what makes me like legit excited about what we do is, you know, you unlock Fizban's Treasury of Dragons in D&D Beyond. Those options become available on your character sheet. You can build that character. You know, those items, you know, stuff like that. Those monsters are become available in our in encounter builder in encounters. So then you can then incorporate them through your combat tracker and into your actual gameplay. Because to me, you know, PDFs are rad, um, but they don't necessarily solve the problem that we solve. You're still scrolling through a PDF the same way you'd be flipping through a book to be like, "Oh God, what does that pair of magical boots do?" So that is my quick answer to that question that we see all of the time, which is why should I buy digital books from y'all? Uh, and then also, you know, just as a as a fun side note, digital books aren't stuck on a barge in the Pacific Ocean right now. So, ugh, if yeah, if you're shopping for someone who loves D&D right now, and all their stuff's on a boat, ours isn't. Sorry, totally got off on a rant. Just that question was like, talk about it in my head, and I had to. Um, Also on the roadmap, let me get back on track. Will just like send me angry emojis anytime I get ranty and completely off track, if you don't mind. William Box on the ones and twos, our producer, who we'd be dead in the water without. I appreciate you, sir. Um, November perks coming up. We've got some cool character sheet backdrops for you guys coming out. Those are exclusive to subscribers here on the D&D Beyond. So of course, you know, subscribers get access to, you know, different parts of the toolset, early access to new things that we're working on, and also just sort of as a special thank you like to throw out some exclusive features and gifts to you all. Sometimes it's digital dice, sometimes it's portrait frames, sometimes it's character sheet backgrounds for you to gussy up your old character sheet. So we've got some autumn themed stuff in there for those of you who are brown leaf crunch minded, like I am. Super sweet, super pretty. I love the color schemes on these. They're super earthy and pretty. Yeah, so those are coming out shortly. Also available now, containers on the mobile app. So the mobile app team's been absolutely crushing it over here, and they just introduced containers in your inventory, so you can put your stuff into other stuff, just like you can in the browser experience. They've also rolled out their mobile app campaign view, which this is really, really cool. I love it. So this is a DM tool. The app, admittedly by the dev team, you know, has been very player focused, right? It's this is where you pick up your books. This is your character sheet. You can roll on it. You know, you can play the whole game, you know, with your phone. But it has been very player focused. So this is one of our first big steps to provide DMs with some really cool stuff with the mobile app. So this is a full campaign view. You're gonna get, you know, basic info about the characters in your party, current hit points, like passive perception, you know, just some like quick at a glance kind of stuff that you might want behind your DM screen when you're playing. And right now, you know, I use it in my games as kind of a second screen experience. You know, when I'm playing with everybody, I have, you know, just my handy dandy down here with that DM screen up. Just, you know, so I've got some quick glance. So super stoked about that. Um, Also available, well, actually not available now. Wanted to jump in and do a little update on the horde magic items that are available in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, because we've had some questions about those, and I had a little piece that I was going to read through with you guys, and now I have lost it. So allow me to vamp for one moment while I bring it back up. Here we go. So, horde magic items in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. So these introduce in the book a new mechanic that allows magic items to have several different like power tiers. which can be increased by interacting with a dragon's horde. It's a super cool rule, super fun in game. It's a little similar to the artifact power levels that are in Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. The core problem that we have run into over here at D&D Beyond is that the method we have of presenting those tiers is would be to create multiple versions of each magic item so that users can specifically select the one that they want. Um, they also have some additional complexity for us because of the horde item state in the book. And if you're like, I don't know what any of these rules are, when you noodle through the book, you'll find this stuff. But that one means any specific magic item is either slumbering, stirring, wakened, or ascendant. Um, and then also on top of them, they also have draconic quirks. So all of that said, what that means for us is to model all of those options in the way that D&D Beyond the system works. So, like, just for a Dragon's Wrath weapon magic item, for example, um, we would basically have to make over 15,000 separate magic items to support this. It's a bit of an undertaking, to say the absolute least. So I don't know if there are plans in 2022 to bring on a dev whose sole job is 15,000 horde magic items. I will update you guys if that changes, but for now, just wanted to give you guys sort of an update on that feature in Fizzbands. Not always going to be good, happy, clappy, fun news here on the Dev Update, but we always like to be open and honest and super transparent with you guys in terms of like what is and what is not going to be supported. So for now, Horde Magic items will not be supported on the character sheet. Although those are things you can easily, well, no, actually, those are things you can sort of work towards building in homebrew, and find some workarounds and stuff like that. So again, kind of a bummer bit of news, but we like to again be as transparent with you guys as possible, whether it's going to be cool or uncool. Coming soon on the roadmap, character sheet decor management. So that's going to be a way to just more easily choose like portrait frames, character backgrounds, just a much nicer interface. We've got inventory and container updates coming. We actually have a ton of those coming soon, which I'm very very excited about. We had Andrew Searles on last week to talk to you guys a little bit about what you can expect with encounters. So this is the cosmic gumbo union of the encounter builder and the combat tracker um, becoming one and being released to the public. So all registered users are going to be able to use both of these with some really cool quality of life functions and updates that I'm super super excited about. So that is on its way, and we'll have Andrew back on soon to sort of dig in and demo that with y'all. Um, we also have a ton of new digital dice coming actually to the marketplace. So if you dig them, and I definitely do, especially as I over the past couple years as I've become much more reliant on playing the game on the character sheet. I've gotten really into just like making sure that dice fit my character and stuff like that. If you're a fan of digital dice, good news. We have so many coming at some new pricing. So I think you guys will be super stoked about that. And then finally, we have a new show we're launching on YouTube called The Battle for Beyond. I mentioned on stream yesterday, but I'm so excited to just be able to say those three words to you guys. We've been working our butts off on this show. Our the content team has rather. So before anyone jumps in and goes, "What? You've been working on entertainment instead of blah blah blah." The dev team does those things, and then I create creative things to then sort of market and help make sure that the world sees those things. The Battle for Beyond is one of those initiatives. So this is a 6 episode mini series. It'll be launching on YouTube on November 12th at 4 o'clock Pacific time. We have a really phenomenal cast. Jasmine Bular is our DM. She's just absolutely incredible. I'll keep giving you guys some inside baseball here on the dev update for the show as we roll out. But uh, I gave her like a premise for a show when I talked to her about wanting to do it, and that premise was, sort of a multiverse tournament that is like a rumor and a whisper that people hear about. They spend their whole lives questing for it, right? um the winner of this weird sort of like clandestine event is given the power to change one thing about their past. That was the premise that I gave her, and she took it and ran with it and has created this just beautiful world and story. I cannot wait for y'all to see. It's a super fun show. I think it shows off the D&D Beyond tool set, and like shows just how it feels to actually play with what we do and what we make in a really cool, fun way. Um, which is to just level with you guys is why we made the show. McDonald's makes fries; they got to show off their fries, and I think we've put together a really fun way to show the world the fries. So super excited about that show. Make sure y'all tune in. That won't be on Twitch. That'll just be premiering live on YouTube on 11/12. You'll be able to watch along with the cast and creators. So that's going to be super fun. Enough ranting from me. We have, of course, a special guest. Um, get your questions in for Pat. You can ask those questions in chat by typing question before your questions. But let me get you. You guys know Pat by now. He's one of our senior product managers. He is quite honestly the man I'm trying to model my entire look after. Pat, hey brother, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey Joe, thanks for the compliment. Thanks, maybe.
You know what? Depending on what my self esteem looks like any given day, it is either a compliment or it is not.
Okay, I'll
Today
take it.
feeling pretty
I'll take
good. Today feeling pretty good, so it's a
Good.
compliment.
I
Well,
love listening to your metaphors, man. Your whole. I was just listening to you. Just all of your analogies and metaphors. We are kindred spirits. It's the only way I talk
oh, but
these days.
oh, then I think one of these days we should switch department meetings so that like your team has to listen to me go off the rails, and then my team has to listen to you just like probably stay
Perfect.
on target. I have a feeling that you are much better at metaphors than I am.
Maybe.
Mine start very weird. If you've ever wanted to hear here's our target goal conversation in purely framed by the movie The Rocketeer, then come to one of my meetings. Do they make
Oh,
sense?
I should.
No. Are they entertaining?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Send me the invite.
I will. I absolutely will. One of these days, I'll just do a department meeting and also just invite the D&D Beyond universe here as well. Pat, these folks have questions for you. I'm going to let's kick us off with a fun one. What what that you and your team are working on right now that you're able to talk about? Because of course there are lots of things that we're not allowed to talk to anybody about yet. What's the thing that you guys are either the most stressed about right now or the most? That's just a
Um,
question for me.
yeah, I don't. They're not stressed, which is good.
That's
They're
nice.
very happy engineers. Um, but I think the thing that we're probably we're excited about a lot of stuff, Joe. Well, the big thing that we're working on is shared is well, no, the big thing we're working on right now is uh, bag of holding and backpacks. So we can solve the two problems of I have a bag of holding and it can hold all the things, but it only weighs what it's supposed to because it's magical, which I think is 15 pounds. But also, I have a backpack full of stuff. I'm encumbered. It's causing me, my character, problems. I can take the backpack off and then not be encumbered. It won't cause me problems, but I still retain that in my inventory so that I can put it
Hmm.
back on. It's the
Yeah, sort of
it's the old soldier
dramatically
drop the rucksack. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that nice
And so,
dramatic backpack drop, you know,
yeah,
I think with that mechanic, you are adding a whole new level, honestly, to Dungeons and Dragons, and that is the dramatic, like, it's on, the shorthand for it's time to fight, you know,
yeah, gloves
instead
off.
of saying yeah, yeah, instead of me saying, like, "Roll for initiative" to my players, I can be like, "Drop them backpacks," and, everyone's gonna know what I mean, which I absolutely love.
Drop them
Um,
backpacks. Well, I tell you
you
what,
have made
it's funny that you say that, because I was talking with John, who's our designer that's on our team, and when you build these things, especially with a game that's been around as long as Dungeons and Dragons, there's there's a little reticence to go, are we building the right thing for folks? Because who uses encumbrance as a rule set?
mm,
Um, and a lot of people just don't, but they don't why. And then sometimes it's like they don't because it's hard, they don't because it's a pain in the butt to do, or they don't because that's just the boring game. Um, well, what we're doing, after we've done some research, we think that they do want to play encumbrance rules,
it's
and
just a
we're
hassle.
yeah, it's just a hassle. So D&D Beyond, like D&D Beyond always does, makes it easier to do the hard stuff, and you'll be able to literally just go click a button, and now you can drop that rucksack or add the things, and now the totals go up, but not be restrictive. And people can play their own game. So if they don't want to have encumbrance, they just don't have to, right? You don't even have to pay attention to it. It doesn't affect things if you choose it not to.
I love that. And honestly, I would once that is implemented, I would love to see like and hear from players like, okay, we were trying encumbrance, and you know what? We kind of dig it now that it's it's a little more straightforward and someone's not having to track a bunch of stuff on a steno. So that's
Yeah.
honestly really, really cool. You also mentioned bag of holding. So you have made this nudist very happy. In my heart, this nudist is just lying in the buff on a beach, watching the dev update. Because why not? Live your best life, nudist.
Or is it
Uh,
a new distance? A new
Oh,
dis
yeah, or, like, they're constantly, recording diss tracks, for rival rappers, and they're just constantly coming up with a new diss.
yeah,
Regardless, maybe it's all of those things. They're going the distance while dissing people while being a nudist.
yeah.
People are
And you
multifaceted.
dis, right? And you dis, right?
Well, this nudist wants to
I
know,
love it.
apologies if I'm out of loop on this. Never be sorry. It's fine. We're here to loop you in. But are there plans to fully implement the bag of holding, weight mechanics for inventory in the
Yeah.
near future?
Well, I mean, so we have a couple environments um, that we push our changes to, and yes, that is in our staging environment right now. You can do that. So it's coming to a production environment near you very soon, and we're really excited
Excellent,
about it.
excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm digging through our questions. Um, uh, to make sure that I am asking you things from your department so that you're not having to be like, you know what? I'm sure Andrew has a great plan for that.
Yeah, I can
I
answer for Andrew.
will.
I don't think he'll like it. But
Let's just do that more. Um, uh, I'll add some voice to this one because I'm curious about this one because I have sidekicks in my games all the time. Quirky little fox is asking, about the future of sidekicks from Tasha's.
yeah, this is one of those future things
Hmm.
that are not currently on our uh, factory table, if you will.
Sure.
Now, well, maybe I can say this. I think I can say this.
Yeah, go for it.
Screw it. I'll just say it. So we had a small engineering team reach out to us from a university. Um, for their senior project, they want to do some stuff. So So we got a couple of extra folks to help us do some stuff, and of course we can't take that code that they make and throw it into our production line and then sell it. You know what I mean, or you use it as a
Right.
product because it's a school project for them and to help them to learn how to do agile development and work with a larger product team and get some chops, some experience before they graduate school. But that said, the lessons that they will learn doing what they're doing is going to help us to do these kinds of things faster in the future. So the project that they will likely be working on is NPC related, and sidekicks are kind of like
Cool.
really close relative NPCs. So yeah, it'll be neat. We'll see what they come up with. That doesn't mean that sidekicks is coming anytime soon, but it may mean that it comes faster because we'll learn a lot of things from what they do.
That's cool. I didn't know we were doing that. That's super fun.
Yeah, it is. It is super fun. Dave Hartless was the one that coordinated that with these cats. I'm not
I
going to
like
say
that.
what school they're from or anything like that because I don't know what liberties I'm allowed. So I just keep
Let's
my mouth
respect
shut.
their privacy. Yeah, yeah. We'll give them the old we don't give our home office address out rule of
Right,
privacy.
but if they are listening or their friends are listening, a shout out to them. You know who you are.
Yeah, stoked to have you all. That Dave Heartless, he's a good boy. He doesn't get enough credit. I feel like Dave only comes on when we have bad news, and he doesn't deserve that. he's he's a
No,
he's a great person who does a lot of really
he is
cool
a great
work.
human being.
He's a wonderful human being. Oh, this is I hadn't even ever thought about this. I would love, even beyond the are there plans to do this? What your thoughts would even be around the idea of doing it. But Shadowborn 1975 asks, are there plans for a concentration tracker?
Yes, yes.
Moving on. All right.
100%.
Cool,
So,
cool, cool.
every time you have me on, I talk about a system, the generic universal feature system or goofs. And then the um, new spell system and this one falls under what we would call a new effects system. And yeah, so most definitely this is on our plans and in our not so distant, I mean, distant relative, but backlog. It's important for people to be able to track their things. And problem with concentration tracking is usually round based. And then
Yeah.
damage based if you get the concentration knocked out of you. Um, we needed the combat tracker and the game log to become more robust before those kinds of things can start to talk to each other. And then once you can start to track rounds, now your concentration tracker becomes viable. Otherwise, you're having to manually track your rounds. Um, and yeah, I mean, basically that's it. New effect system, it will encompass so much more than just concentration. It'll be, bardic inspiration and different auras that like a paladin has and things like that. So the character sheets will feel the love of the effect versus it just being tracked.
That's really really cool. Is there anything you can dig in a little more with the idea of the effect system, or is that kind of the tease we're able to give?
Yeah, well, then you get into the whole thing of like spells, right? So for every spell that's cast, if it's a buffing spell, then it has to have an effect. Well, for a spell to have an effect, then the spell system itself has to operate so that it pushes an effect to um, the other people. And then the next piece is how do you know which character it's pushing it to? Well, you have to be able to select those characters. How do you select those characters in the character sheet? So I am casting Bardic Inspiration. As I cast Bardic Inspiration, I have a drop down that says Joe is in my party. I click Joe's name. pass off bardic inspiration. Joe then gets notified that he's been inspired by my character, and it's now affecting his sheet. And then the timer, if there's a timer, starts based on the dungeon master clicking through a round counter and things like that. So it becomes really super complicated, and then like chicken before the egg thing. Uh, but
Hmm.
but we're tracking is one thing. Um, Having it be effective on other people's sheets is another thing. Just yeah, yeah. I gotta stay quiet because I've been really um, heads down at work, working on stuff that I can't talk about that will
Yeah.
help this connectivity between characters immensely. Um, so those web sockets of characters talking to each other, uh,
That's
it's,
really, really cool.
this
Well,
good stuff comes from all of that.
I think that transitions us to kind of two different questions. I'll take these. I'll be the bad guy on these. You are the cool guest that comes in with cool news, and I will do the the farty stuff. I'm going to scroll through these two questions. So Dennis Happ asks, "Is Critical Role's reprinting of the Tal'Dorei campaign setting going to be available on dndbeyond.com?" And we also have Adrianus says, "All of this we can't talk about it kind of stuff. Is there any chance we'll be hearing about this before the end of the year?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know no dates, but is there some indication? So I'll take part of this, and then maybe Pat, if you want to speak for like 30 seconds or whatever, you don't have to get too far. Sort of in for like dev reasons why we don't necessarily give dates. I can speak to third party and some of the we can't talk about it, and that is obviously we'd love to have the Tal'Dorei reprint on D&D Beyond. We'd love to have third party on D&D Beyond. Uh, you know, Beyond just like, wouldn't it be so cool if you could have Kobold Press books or, or Drive Through RPG or, whatever, or DM's Guild right here on D&D Beyond. It's a small industry, right? Those are friends and family. We'd love to work with them more. Um, it makes, when folks do, when I always see, it's like, uh, will do an extra life charity, and then DM's Guild will do like a separate extra life charity. And in my head, I'm like, we should be combining efforts for the good of extra life, right? Stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff gets caught up in licensing agreements and publisher negotiations and that kind of thing. And in terms of stuff like that, unfortunately, on both sides, on the third party side and our side, hands are kind of tied, right? Um, so that's why third party doesn't land over here. We'd love to do it. There are pals we'd love to work with folks more. There are some books that have come out this year where I'm like, oh, am I going to have to sit and like Thrones and Bones over at Drive Through, which is like a really cool sort of like Viking setting based on Luander's books. It's a gorgeous book. I got sent a PDF of it to kind of scroll through and preview. Love to have that kind of stuff on here. The other sort of angle, tied to the can't talk about it is, kind of the same thing. We don't exist in a vacuum, right? Like the systems and the features that we build have to go up various chains, get approved. Even conceptually, like, yeah, go ahead. You guys can do that. You guys can't do that. Um, we'll think about this. And then once they get into the built, we've got to send those to mom and dad. We've got to send those to grandma and grandpa, the family matriarchs and patriarchs, whether those are internal or external. Um, so those are reasons why so often we're like, there's a lot of toys in the toy chest right now that we just literally can't talk about. Is the reason. It's not us being cagey, and I apologize if I ever come off like that. Like, no, we can't talk. We just literally can't. because business. And then, but they're also, just like on the, but there are also, reasons on the dev side why we don't necessarily like map out, dates for features. Pat, if you want to just speak to that a little bit, and then I'll set you free.
Yeah. So, well, you said a lot there, and it's hard for even for me to understand sometimes, and I can get in my mind a little frustrated with the whole process. Um, Somebody had asked that question: Is there a way we can get? What did they say? They had said, "Is there a way that we can get?" If I can find it quick. This question hunting thing is hard. Um, Concentration and rage as condition toggles.
Hmm.
So
Let me find it.
we take our time to do this work, and it's things seem to go slow sometimes, but that kind of question is the reason we do some of the work that nobody ever sees for a while. The front end side of the team that I work on is working diligently on getting the character sheet to be um, what's the word, more malleable, because right now the way it's processed, it comes from a place that's really rigid, and you can't do a lot of changing on it. But they're doing all this work to make this thing more malleable, and it takes a lot of time to do that, but nobody gets to see it. I literally was talking to Brian the other day, and he shows me the difference between the malleable character sheet and the real, the live character sheet. And it's like one of those, it's almost like one of those puzzles, like what's different in this picture from that picture? And you're like, what just happened? And only when he flipped it on and off did you see the one little thing jump just ever so slightly. So that work takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of digging, and it's a lot of experimentation. So that's what causes people like me, product managers, to be a little reticent when it comes to saying when something's going to be done, because you
Hmm.
have to get all that kind of stuff done before you can say things like, hey, let's make a toggle on the character sheet that says I'm raged. Because we could make a toggle on the character sheet that says I'm raged probably pretty quickly, but we couldn't adjust it if needed, or make more toggles for different characters if needed, because the character sheet's really rigid. So that said, engineers do a lot of work that's what seems like it's out of hide. It's not out of hide. It's in our backlog. It's these massive tasks and subtask lists that go underneath what we call in the industry user stories or customer stories, or what we call player stories. As a player, I want to be able to select rage so I know my character is raging, so I don't
Hmm.
forget to add the pluses, blah, blah, blah. Or I automatically want the pluses to be added. And then that's a very simple statement that sounds really easy to do for me because I'm the one that writes them. And then whap, here comes a whole list of engineering tasks and subtasks just to make that happen. And it has to be expansible. It has to be something that can live for a long time and not corner us or paint ourselves in a corner or pigeonhole us, or however you want, whatever metaphor you want to use to say it sucks to not be able to work your way
Yeah.
out of it. And D&D
Well,
Beyond was
you,
built
you don't want to
very fast.
you don't want to stick the Rocketeer in a fancy Hollywood restaurant with a ceiling where he can't like use his advantage of like flying everywhere and gets yeah.
Yeah, there
No,
you
I get
go.
you.
Rocketeer metaphor, love it. Yeah. So I mean that's basically it in a nutshell, Joe. So that's the engineering side. That's the place that I live in most of the time with the
Hmm.
engineering team. Um, and then you have the other place which you had talked about, our uh, contracts and business and license and things like that. And those issues aren't even a part of this other piece. And then you have to get all those things to line up so you can make a thing happen.
Yeah.
And it takes a
It's
lot of effort. Communication
yeah.
is the enemy of anything.
Yeah.
And
And I'm coming up on almost a year with y'all, and watching that dance happen constantly, like in real time, has been just I just so much respect, honestly. Um, hey, dude, thank you so much. I know you guys are y'all are so busy. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your day. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Joe. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, always, like literally anytime you want to come on, please. Thank you all for being with us. Hope you picked up something that you thought was interesting or helpful today. If not, I apologize. I'll try better next time. Be kind to each other. Be safe. It's a weird world out there. Be nice. And if, as usual, if your response to this is, well, all that sounds cool, I have no one to play D&D with, go to our forums, go to our Discord. There are people looking for people to play with. If that stresses you out, I promise you they're just as stressed and awkward and anxious as you are, like I am. You deserve that game. Take a chance on yourself. Reach out and find it. And we'll see you guys next time on the Dev Update here at D&D Beyond. Thanks, everybody.
It's D&D.